And one. And we're live. What's up, guys? I'm Johnny Barks. To my left is Bryan, too. And this is the Johnny Barks Show. We have a very special episode today. As you can tell, if you're not familiar with the show, I'm a Packers fan. And Mr. Bryan.
Says it right there.
Bears.
I'm a big fan of the sea.
The
Chicago Cares.
The toilet seats?
No! Not cool. The Chicago Bears. I'm a fan of the Chicago Bears. I'm a fan of Justin Fields. And today we're going to be debating who's going to be the better future quarterback, Jordan Love or Justin Fields?
Not him. Not the second one. What when you say like the latter of the two? What do you say the first part is? I don't remember what you said, but like the first one.
Former.
Yeah, the former. That's the one I would choose if I was totally not biased at all, not wearing a jersey or anything. But
yeah, this isn't Perna and Will. No, this is Bryan and Johnny.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
We got Ron in the house. Yeah, so we're just going to. Oh, this is StreamYard. StreamYard left a comment. This is an example
hi,
of
StreamYard.
Comment to show it on screen.
Thanks for commenting.
Thank you for showing love. Jordan Love has done more than 16 weeks than Bears QB in 104 years. I wasn't even going to go there yet. But, I mean,
it's funny because we're going to talk about specific weeks, and I'm going to prove you wrong, Mr. Beasums. Mr. 16 weeks. Let's talk. We can talk about weeks.
So, yeah, I just want to go a little background. Like, just take us from the start. Just so we don't just start off the bat right here. Just kind of give a little preview. What was your kind of reaction? Was it 2021 NFL draft trading for Fields at number 11 or number 10?
11.
So yeah, what was your kind of reaction there? Like, were you a fan of the pick? Was it time to get rid of Trubisky? Obviously, what was going on there?
I'm trying to fact check myself. Where was he drafted?
It was 2021.
11th. Yeah, it was 11th.
Not winning.
Yeah, so my initial reaction was, this is awesome. You know, we needed some energy. If you remember the quarterback situation before that, it was like Andy Dalton was our quarterback. And Mitch Trubisky was starting to get benched and all this stuff. So we were looking for a quarterback. We were definitely in the need for a quarterback. Seeing Justin Fields get picked, you know, and also seeing a very, you know, I'm from the Midwest. Big Ten quarterbacks are like, you know, the idol for most of, you know, kids growing up. So seeing a solid Big Ten quarterback come in that is really flashy. I mean, it was exciting. So, yeah, I mean, I was excited about it. And, you know, it was a rough start, but you kind of get those growing pains, especially with a head coach on the way out. And we could talk about the timeline in particular, but
yeah, I'll bring that up in a second. Do you think it was like, I was just thinking about this earlier. What do you think Ryan Pace's intention? Like, do you think he was drafting Fields to save his job, hoping he would be an immediate like impact, or did he go in what were the expectations there? And like, do you think that was the right move opposed to going to like a veteran person?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a tricky, you know, I think he was forced to pick a quarterback in the draft high up. Like, that was just the situation. And he was just picking the best available quarterback at the time, which was Justin Fields. If you go back and look, you know, the other options at the time, I think who were left were like maybe Mac Jones. I don't know if he got drafted ahead of him or not.
No, yeah, Mac Jones was there.
So, and not a ton of good quarterbacks in that draft except for Trevor Lawrence. Really is huge.
Yeah, you kind of got lucky as well because there was that Zach Wilson pro day hype that kind of, I mean, maybe it was before his pro day, but that pro day throw, I remember that one like crossbody throw like 68 yards, like people freaking out on Twitter for like three whole days about it.
Highlight that you
that's like his
on Twitter.
that was Zach Wilson's career highlight actually.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Justin Fields could have been a Jet number 2. Like that's what it was penciled in as. It was you know, Lawrence at 1, Fields at 2 for the longest time that year.
Right. And I think what you can tell is like Ryan Pace, he didn't want to trade up. And I don't think he had a lot of options to trade up. But I think he was just like, I'm just going to pick the best available quarterback when it gets to us, because he was sort of apathetic. He was sort of on the train of like, he failed with the Mitch Trubisky situation. Like, that's what Ryan Pace is known for.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Trubisky. And that's what I mean. He was the GM for 7 years, and that's the only thing he's known for. He's not known for the Khalil Mack trade. He's not known for basically getting to the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky. He's known for drafting Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes
and trading up for him too.
Yeah,
from 3 to 2 when he probably didn't need to, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I appreciate you, Warren. The only thing I would wonder about the Bears that was what I was going to get to is so now you think it's completely. I asked you this last night. Was it last night? If he does like kind of crap the bed and he like doesn't look good, does that change anything how you feel about him going forward? Or you think there's obviously I think any good GM has not made a decision yet. I think there's rumors they're obviously strongly leaning towards Fields, and I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably what's going to happen. But I mean, what would you be upset if they did draft a quarterback number one? Okay, just let's just go do it and flip Fields for a second and still get another more young talent in there.
If I was to give like a percentage, like I prefer they do this, I'd say I'm like 70% I want them to keep Fields, and 30% if we trade Fields back for a second or third round pick, I won't be disappointed. I mean, I will be disappointed, but I won't be like devastated. Yeah. And I am excited about this weekend's game because I think it will give a good telling to
from week 1 to now, pretty much.
Yeah,
how the season has changed, and even just keeping it close, keeping it within a touchdown if you lose, I think is a huge victory for the Bears, honestly.
Right. So let's flip the script. How did you feel about when they drafted Jordan Love and all the drama with Aaron Rodgers? How did you feel about that?
Packer fans were not happy. I mean, obviously coming off the 2020 NFC Championship game where we knew we didn't have much of a chance and we got stomped. That was the Raheem Mostert game. He rushed for like 200 yards against us with the 49ers. So that going out that season that way, I mean, we were content with where we were there. Happy, thankful to be in the NFC Championship. Obviously, it's never great to watch your team lose the NFC Championship game. But going to the draft, there was a lot of rumors that they were right before the draft. There were some rumors that they really liked Jordan Love, and I was kind of nervous about it because the previous year they were tied to Drew Lock and they didn't take him, and I was like, the year before, I wasn't even going to be surprised if they start because Rodgers was 34 at the time. That was in 2019. First year of before, he had a decent season. It looked better than the year before under McCarthy, but it still wasn't sure if LaFleur was even the guy. It was a definitely improvement. I guess they were 13 wins, but he didn't have the greatest stat line that year. So for the box score watchers like myself, honestly. So yeah, it was very weird. Hoping that we needed a middle linebacker, we needed a receiver. It was pretty clear what our needs were. The whole hoping. We still haven't taken a first-round receiver since Javon Walker in 2002. And we've had success doing, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobbs, Jordy Nelson's, and then now Jaden Reed. Seems like we got a pretty good deal there in the second round. But, yeah, I was on the news in Milwaukee, actually, for my grad. I think I have the clip somewhere on my computer. I meant to grab it, but it was just this isn't what I wanted.
You were interviewed by the news?
Yeah, it was my old coworker in Milwaukee. He called me up for a Zoom call. Put me on the news there. It was the stupidest soundbite they used, but it was just funny. No, it was very split, but I had to have some kind of faith. I mean, LaFleur apparently was the guy that really liked him. Also, Judy and LaFleur both were in love with Love, pun intended. So it's kind of that's great. That doesn't help us now. When we're trying to win one more Super Bowl before Rodgers goes out, and obviously in hindsight, we didn't get it. Had we and we didn't draft someone else, that's just hypothetical. But I'm very happy with him now. The Tom Grossi clip is kind of exemplifies it all. It's he got 1 million views off that. I think it's 1.8 million views now. It's freaking awesome. But screaming into the pile of clothes after they draft him, and then immediately it was all right. Well, Jordan Love's got a lot of potential. That was was the end of the video. So yeah, we knew that he had a very high ceiling, that Josh Allen type of prospect. Because of that cannon of an arm, but yeah, it was very split. No one was very happy about it, except maybe the very silent minority of folks on Twitter that just didn't really get yelled at for saying, "Hey, I actually don't like this." And obviously, as time wears on, Rodgers kind of tested his relationship with the public. The whole disingenuous rant by Nick Wright comes to mind. But, no, that was it's a weird time to think about now. Then and now is it's very weird. And now We had very tempered expectations this year for him, and I think he's exceeded all of our hopes and expectations.
Well, so I'm trying to see if we have any new comments.
Weird with some rage and excitement. Yeah, it was very. That was the very first like, oh wow, Rodgers is almost over as a pat. Like the time's almost come, and we got 3 years out of that after. So like I treasured every game, but I mean it was weird to like see the countdown clock start, because I was kind of too young when they drafted Rodgers to kind of like really. I was a very casual like 12-year-old fan. I'd watch a couple games a year, but like the year after Rodgers, like, oh, that's weird. And it was also different because Favre had like kind of flirted with retirement before, and Rodgers was kind of clear that he wanted to play for years. So it was weird.
Well, let's start the actual debate part of the fact that the Bears have the number 1 pick is a thing. If not, I think they heavily invest in Fields, which should tell you something.
Yeah, I think we started there. I think because that's the very first interesting question, because the argument is that with a number 1 pick, you don't get very often. You get it twice in a row now. Like that's once in a blue moon. You might as well, like the argument would be like, might as well take advantage of it and get the best talent available, reset the clock on the salary. So you have 5 more years where you can pay, $5 million, instead of $35 million potentially. Fields get like 25, 30 million probably. But yeah, because you got to pay Fields after next year. So you got to accept his 5-year, 5th-year option after this year, correct? And then
this next year, and then they have an option to franchise tag him too. So,
but that's not that smart for. I mean, you can, but that's.
But I'm saying a potential 2 years is the max, I would say. So, that you don't have to pay him. Now he could argue that he could sit out, all that stuff, whatever. But he's not really in the position to do that yet. Like it's just not a good financial situation for him to even think about doing that. But let's start the debate. And this is, by the way, I'm coming into this debate, so everybody knows in the comments that I know what Jordan Love did this year. I know what he's done, as his first year starting. But I want to take you back to Justin Fields and give you sort of a timeline. This is going to be a lot of small text, so I'll try and read it. Put it full screen. Yeah, if you want to put it full screen. So let's look back at when he was drafted. If you look at, the other people that were drafted, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, arguably Justin Fields could be the best quarterback out of that draft, because Trevor Lawrence is putting up similar stats, a little bit lesser in some areas, a little bit more in some areas. And he did go to the playoffs, so that's a plus on his end. But he sort of was brought into a little bit better of a situation next year.
I would say there are some similarities, parallels between the Urban Meyer nonsense with Lawrence and Fields' first couple of years. So
I'm not saying the first year. The first year for both quarterbacks.
Right.
The next year, I think he was in a better situation. So, and then you jump to the 2021 season. One of the worst O-lines in 21, and it's even exemplified in 22, by the way. Fields gets sacked 55 times in 22, which is the 20th most in league history. That's like a NFL ranking 20th most. He was sacked that many times because our O-line was so bad for 2 years, 21, 22. In 21, if you remember, he had like Allen Robinson, who caught like maybe like 10 passes that year. If you remember, we weren't passing it to Allen Robinson because Nagy and the whole like offense was just designed to make Allen Robinson mad, it felt like. And then he finishes the year with a fractured rib. Jump into 2022. I did do my homework, Ron. It's because I was working today and I was bored and I didn't have anything to do at work.
So that's work, not homework. You did it at work, right?
Yes, is work. So jump to 2022. Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy are hired. Fields, continuing to struggle with the O-line. He gets his AC joint dislocated, out for a game. But he's starting to sort of come into his own. And this is all, by the way, with not a great wide receiver core. Cole Kmet not doing much. You're thinking of Fields putting up the numbers he did this year with DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet was not that great last year. Like they were thinking about, they barely decided to extend him. I kind of felt like, but Cole Kmet was still young. He was in his second year, but he sets some rushing records, most rushing yards in a QB in a regular season game. He's the first QB with 140-yard consecutive rushing games. Third QB to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season. Pretty impressive stats. He's a rushing quarterback. He's not going to be doing a ton of passing. The Bears were the second most rushing team last year, and they're the second most this year. So it's just a run first offense, including Fields in that. I mean, he's our number one rusher. So that's where you have to sort of lean on when you're thinking of stats for him. Now jump to 2023. You know, our O-line is significantly improved. We're sort of a little bit above middle of the pack now. We drafted Roschon Johnson and Darnell Wright, our backup running back and one of our starting offensive linemen. And then Cole Kmet's having a year. He's doing awesome. DJ Moore is, of course, having his best year in his career in all categories. These are all positives that are sort of helping Justin Fields get settled, and you can see that in the stat line. Some of the negatives that are happening, you know, he's still struggling with the fumbles because of that run-first mentality. I think rushing quarterbacks, you saw it with Josh Allen. You see it more with like Tua. Fumbles are an issue. But that's definitely improved the past like half of year after he was injured. And then, of course, our offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, is the screen passing king, I think is what his Wikipedia page said. He's like I forget what they called him, but it was like something about how he's, the screen pass king. He's like known for that. And so you have wide receiver depth is kind of non-existent. Like look at the PFF ratings for our 4 wide receivers behind DJ Moore. 53, 52, 55, 53. If you don't think that's an issue, go and look up the Packers PFF ratings for their wide receivers. They're all like 70s. All of them are 70s. The only one out of like for the Bears that's good, obviously, is DJ Moore. He's high 88.
Honest question, though. Like, do you think it's all – because we can go ahead and talk about the receivers because I know you're going to get there eventually. Right. How much do you think is coaching and talent like factor in? Because, dude, our receivers are so freaking young. Dontavian Wicks, undrafted, like, or maybe he was 7th round. Like, ridiculously young. It's not like they're star receivers or star prospects. Jaden Reed was, like, we're told – experts said he was a day 3 pick. Like,
right. I think it's definitely coaching
and the quarterback making the receivers that can happen. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Both. I think it's both. And I think the reason why there's not many opportunities for these wide receivers, one, because they were horrible the first half of the year and the end of last year. These are all the same wide receivers except for Tyler Scott. Velus Jones, Darnell Mooney, Equimania St. Brown, they were the same wide receivers we had last year. In fact, that was our wide receiver core. I think we had not Byron Pringle. We maybe had one other person last year. I'm blanking. But that was our wide receiver core last year. And they did horrible. And so I think there's not a lot of trust between offensive coordinator and Justin Fields with these wide receivers, that all you see is DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and a check down to running backs. That's like 80% of our passes are all those people. And Johnny, I've sent you clips of Darnell Mooney and some of the horrible drops that Velus Jones has had. I mean, the list goes on and on. That I think let's just talk about moving forward. You know, if Fields stays with the team, we're talking about the hypothetical. If Justin Fields stays a Bear versus Jordan Love's year next year and moving forward. This isn't if Justin Fields gets traded, because I don't know what will happen if he gets traded. I don't know what team he'll go to. This is if Justin Fields stays a Bear. There's crazy cap space. We have like one of the most money to spend in the NFL.
Can I stop you for 1 second, Bryan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I try to stay away from the media, definitely. I feel like, everybody has an opinion. It's like, like buttholes, everybody has one.
That was awesome.
That was your excuse and your opinion, and just like a butthole. Continue.
Okay. Crazy cap space. That's hard to move forward.
I thought he said excuses. I forgot he said opinions. I was like so proud of myself. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. It still works, guys.
Yeah, it does. It does. I understand what you're trying to say. Crazy cap space. Best draft capital like ever. You know, we have potentially two top 10 picks. We'll see how the year pans out with some of these. We might jump up to 11 or 12. And then so we can get that wide receiver O-line help. And we have more stability in the position, right? So he's with Getsy for another year potentially. Some people want Getsy fired, but I'm sort of on the fence about that. I think I would be 60-40 for him getting fired, but if he stays around, which I think he is, with Eberflus and Getsy, more stability in just a position and its coach. I think that's just important for a QB to have.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I think that is such a I think that's the biggest question, almost just as much as to keep Justin Fields is if you keep Fields, okay, what do you do with Getsy? Because I was telling you last night, I think someone like Greg Roman would be really interesting to really use that read option game and kind of those quick passes and stretch down the field. Like, I don't know, man. Getsy really does confuse me at times, so I totally get the frustration from Bears fans. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's just not able to do everything he was able to do in Green Bay in those amazing MVP seasons.
Well, he wasn't an
Rodgers.
offensive coordinator though in Green Bay, which is what people forget. Like I think the Bears tried.
Oh yeah, he was a lineman. He was a lineman coach or offensive line coach, wasn't he?
He was a quarterback coach, I think.
Or was he quarterback?
I don't remember. Google it, but I thought he was a quarterback coach for.
I think you're right, actually.
Last year, but yeah, no. I think the Bears just tried to not trick to like steal something from a division rival. Like, hey, we got this. They're a good team. Let's steal this guy. And it's like they didn't even. It's like when they tried to take Nagy from the Chiefs. Look how well that turned out. Like, you're not.
And look how the Chiefs are doing this year with Nagy, right?
Right. Don't get the big name just because it's a big name. Look at what the production has been. Like Eric Bieniemy has actually like been awesome with his situation, but he's on the Commanders now. Like people talk about.
I'll be really interested. I keep seeing his name in head coaching discussions as well, so I'm really curious. That's going to be really interesting the next couple of weeks to see who gets hired. That's another discussion though. Not to sidetrack.
So let's just we'll just jump to numbers, and this is again more research that I was bored at work today, and I put all this on a PowerPoint. If you were to take, Jordan Love and add whatever he's been averaging for his last game, this is for 17 games. He's averaging about 240 yards passing. He's averaging about 16 yards per game rushing. You'd get 4,347 yards. Ryan's stealing company time. You're 100% right, actually. I'm not going to tell you where I work, though, so I don't want to get reported,
Canceled.
So 4,347 yards total. That's with a 17-game projection. Now go to Fields, who was injured for 4.5 games. We're just going to say, 4 games make it even, and then you add the next one. He's averaging about 202 yards passing per game, and he's averaging 53 yards rushing per game. That puts you up to 4,312 yards, which is, and that's not including the half game that we're taking out for the injury. That would probably tip him over. So, but we're talking hypotheticals, right? So we're not talking about hard stats here. Let's jump to the next slide, Johnny.
Sam Howell put up a bunch of yards. He put up more than Patrick Mahomes. Does that make him better?
Patrick Mahomes is also dealing with no.
Oh, did you see what he removed? I'm sorry.
Hold
guys.
on.
I'm just trying to notice.
Johnny's gonna talk about the touchdown interception pieces, but let's talk about the actual last 17 games that were started. Let's not talk hypotheticals. Let's talk about the actual last 17 games started. Total yards passing, 4,033. Very good, Jordan Love. Very good. I'm impressed. 271 yards rushing. Good for a quarterback. That's good for a quarterback.
He's great. He's great.
Let's look at Justin Fields. 3,458. passing yards. Very good for a Bears quarterback. I mean, I don't think the Bears have had a 3,000-yard passing quarterback in a while. But 919 rushing yards in the past 17 games for a grand total of 73 more total yards than Jordan Love over the past 17 games. Now, who was it? Beesmus, who was talking about, over a 16-game period, Jordan Love, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's look at the 16-game period. This is a 17-game period, a full season. There you go, Beesmus.
When you're only considering yards, it's like that's. I just think it's super cute.
We're a rush first offense. Do you want to compare rushing touchdowns? Do you want to go to David Montgomery the last quarter of last year on top of our rushing?
What does that have to do with Jordan Love? Jordan Love and Fields
because
have
we have a lot of rushing
touchdowns this year.
We have a lot of rushing touchdowns, not just from Jordan Love. I'm not just from Justin Fields. I'm talking about Khalil Herbert, Dante Foreman, Roshan Johnson, David Montgomery the last quarter last year. So
what about the turnovers, buddy? And that's not even counting, dude. Fields, I didn't even save the graphic. I should have saved it. I meant to take a screenshot. Fields has had like 6 fumbles this year. 6 fumbles lost this year, but like.
Well, if you want to do that card, why don't we just look at the last 7 games, and why don't we look at Jordan Love's first 7 games this year? Do we want to cherry pick these stats too?
I'm adding context to your stats, buddy. That's what I'm doing.
I'm adding context to the thought behind what you're saying. But
I 35 total touchdowns. Like that's more touchdowns and less fewer turnovers. Like I don't understand how that you have to leave that part out to make yourself to make Fields look like it's
Hey,
close.
you know what?
Like I let you spend like the first 20 minutes of the freaking show trying to give excuses for Fields.
It's not excuses. These are facts. These are facts.
It's context, but it's also excuse. Like it's just the Fields versus Love.
Did I make up? Are these excuses? Are these yards excuses?
A little bit.
They're facts. All right, go on. Continue.
What are you're trying to
continue?
Continue. You want me to pull up Sam Howell's yards?
Continue.
Is Sam Howell a starting quarterback? Is he better than Jordan Love? I think he has a couple more passing yards than him.
Yeah.
Is he better than Patrick Mahomes?
Yards. He has a couple more passing yards, but how many games did Sam Howell start this year?
As many. What's that?
Justin Fields started 12 games this year.
I was talking about Love. I said,
right.
Is Sam Howell better than Love? He has more passing yards. Does that make him better?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Sorry, I'm misunderstood.
That's okay. Justin Fields been worse. See, that's the thing. I want to bring this up as well. The old Wikipedia thing from Luke Getzey's Screen Merchant, so many of Justin Fields highlights, and it's crazy to me that obviously DJ Moore is good, but it's almost like the Brock Purdy effect. People give Brock Purdy shit. Fields will just dump it up there, and Moore will just make plays. His first play of the preseason was a screen pass that was almost too low for DJ Moore, and he ran it 60 yards to the touchdown, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, Justin Fields!" You're kidding, right? That's all DJ Moore.
You know what by the way, I have this thought. Packers coaching is insane, and we did this with Craig Counsell and the Cubs. I wish we could just steal Matt LaFleur somehow.
You can't. You can't. We're not. Maybe in 10 years because after Counsell, he was in Milwaukee for 9 years.
Yeah, he was 6.
Won one playoff series. Yeah. Still a good coach.
Yeah, he took him to 3/4 of the years he was in the playoffs. Wasn't great in the playoffs though.
This is also what I was going to get to. Fields keeps missing games.
Also,
I get the offensive line.
Career, the best ability is availability. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. You want to know why he missed 11 games last year? He was sacked 55 times, which was the 20th most in the NFL history. He has fractured he's dislocated his thumb. He's fractured ribs. He's dislocated his shoulder. Do you think that's because he's just stupid? You think it's because he's just I'm injury prone? No, that's because our offensive line.
Yeah. Best we can do is Joe Barry, Bryan.
No.
That's the best we can do. Okay, so this was fun. You could see clearly that Justin Fields better.
Thank you.
Jordan Love better stats. That's what I was trying to say.
With touchdowns and turnovers over that 17-period game, yeah. 17 game period.
Let's do something fun. Oh, that's crazy. When you actually look at their first 17 starts, it's a much different picture. And it's even more obvious right here. So if this is Jordan Love's first, because your argument is maybe Fields isn't better now, or maybe he's not playing better now, but he has a better ceiling. I think doing this your first freaking 17 starts, man, like you're on pace to be like Rodgers, and like I'm not trying to compare him to that. You asked me yesterday or 2 days ago, do I think he'll get an MVP in his career? Like it's way too early to tell that, dude. But the way he's playing right now is so damn encouraging. And look at that.
I agree.
More turnovers than touchdowns, brother. Like, come on, look at that. And I get, I get there's context to stats, but I'm just saying, like, if you just look at that, like the yards,
Here's a good comparison. Here's a good comparison to explain what you're looking at, folks. So, pretend you just graduated high school. One guy, goes and he's like, I want to work.
That's also true. I want to put this out real quick. I don't know. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I know Justin Fields. It can be a testament for him extending the play. I'll give you that. But he also has like one of the slowest, or at least like the longest time holding the ball before he throws the ball, like in the league.
Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Well, that's because he has to get out of the pocket because it's collapsing. But really, what it is, and we've shown this graph before. The Bears have the worst wide receiver separation rate in the NFL. While the quarterback is in the pocket. So while Justin Fields is sitting in the pocket looking for an open wide receiver, he doesn't see one. So he has to scramble a little bit until he can anticipate some of that, which is a struggle for Justin Fields. Initially was the anticipation. He's definitely gotten better. Shit. Yeah. What is the win-loss ratio over the 7 starts? I think they both have the same amount of wins, or maybe Jordan Love has one more.
Last 7 starts?
17 starts.
17 starts. Oh, yeah, I don't have win-loss. Win-losses are not a QB stat. I'm not putting that on Fields.
Right. But, yeah, I don't think that matters as much.
Because I could have brought in his record against Green Bay or whatever. I'm not even going to do all that.
Right.
I will say, to your point, I'm going to bring up a clip from
Can I just give my analogy first?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Here's my analogy, guys, for you to understand what you're looking at. This is the first 17 starts. You're looking at a quarterback up top that while Justin Fields was playing, putting in the hours, he was sitting, taking notes. He was watching film with his little.
He didn't play. He didn't get to play preseason He didn't get to step on the field until his second year when he.
Right.
He got like a quarter at the end of at week 18, 2 quarters week 18, his second year, and then he got a couple.
Was he still practicing though?
Not much, dude. When you're first off, he was a third string his first year. He was not even the backup. He was not getting any reps. Like he basically his first year was like a redshirt year. His first 2 years were like a redshirt year, and then last year he had that Eagles game. Was it that Eagles game? He had like a couple plays. Yeah, like from what I've seen in the NFL, like backups don't even get many reps with the starters just because of how like the NFLPA is cracked down on practice hours. So like they got to use every single one of those starters to get all their plays together. So like, yeah, I don't think I get your, I'm not trying to weaken your argument. Like it's definitely a thing. Like you get more like a whole extra year studying defenses. But I think we're
talking about 3 years though.
Generally, there's an argument to say like Fields like not like playing that soon didn't help him because of the lack of talent around him. But generally speaking, I think
Justin Fields is
getting thrown in the fire can be good for you. Just getting thrown.
I would say Justin Fields has progressed. I don't know what would have happened if he would have sat for 3 years and not been a backup.
Yeah, it was like the first 6 games. It was like the first 6 games.
It was the first. I don't know if it was 6 games, but I think it was like 4 or 3. But
either way.
But yeah, either way. So you're looking at a quarterback that. Yeah,
I love that being attacked.
By the way, I know a lot of you are Packers fans if you're fans of Johnny or Tom Grossi, and I know that some of you, you're not. If you're a Broncos fan, you're mad that we took Jay Cutler.
Broncos fans just don't like this show. They're like, why aren't you guys talking about the Broncos?
Yeah.
This is the Broncos show.
Johnny's always shitting on the Broncos. Why do we even have him on here? So I know that's the context behind a lot of this stuff, but what you need to know is Justin Fields came from a situation that's completely different than Jordan Love. So I'm talking about the last 17 starts for the reason that they've had this time to progress, and here's where they're at.
Okay, can I show you where's you're at? Did you finish your analogy? I just want
Yeah,
to see you're done.
I was going to give the analogy of it's like graduating high school and going to work immediately. Like,
Gotcha.
I want
That's
to
a
go
good
work.
analogy. I like it.
I want to go work at this car dealership, or I want to go drive a truck, whatever. So you're not making a ton of money. You're not seeing a lot of progression in your career. But the further you're doing it, you're seeing some progression. You're seeing some opportunities open up. Oh, maybe I could drive for, Walmart now. They're paying 100 whatever thousand now for their drivers or whatever. It's a scam. But or I can go work for this car dealership and make more money selling cars or whatever. It's bigger, better, and he's been progressing. Then you look at Jordan Love, he goes to college. He's learning from the best. He's learning from Professor Rogers. He's learning from Professor LaFleur. He's learning from dumb old Getsy and teaches you how to throw screen passes.
Dumb old Getsy.
From Professor Getsy, who's an adjunct who doesn't deserve to be a professor, but he just got it because whatever. And now he's ready to hit the workforce. He's ready. He's rolling. He's got a solid job. He's got a 6-figure job. He's doing well. But you know what? Fields has worked his way up to be similar to that point. We looked at the last 17 starts, similar yardage. He's still got some ways to go. There's still some learning curves because he doesn't have that education to back him up.
Hey, it's never too late to go back to college, right?
It's never too late to go back to college.
I feel like I'm talking to Colin Coward right now. You're really killing it with this analogy.
Right. That's my analogy. Show us the clip that you wanted to show us, Johnny.
I was going to say, before I show the clip, though, this is from QB School. Very good channel for the film nerds out there. I'm sure you're probably familiar with me already. But, yeah, he gave Fields credit for those anticipatory passes that you guys are kind of excited. There was a couple this week that was he's throwing the ball before the guy actually turns around. What your quarterbacks do. So, like, I want to give credit. I'm trying to be a good faith debater here. But this is the issue I have seen with Fields.
I'm a master debater.
You didn't even say it right.
I did. I messed up. Go on.
You just said the word.
I know I didn't mean to. Go ahead. Show us the clip.
All right. Here's the clip of just this past week against. And it was heavy winds and snowy weather. So as much as that. But this is a QB throw.
You're going up on your toes right there. Your base is too narrow now. So again, you watch the guys who are playing at a high level right now, I would say look a lot like that. To me, I think of Tua, Purdy, guys who play on time quickly, even like a guy potentially like Love right now. That's the base. This is popping up, bringing your feet together. That is skymailing something on your toes for a big chunk. And again, I'm not saying that things are going to be perfect when you're in the elements like this.
But yeah, that's a throw you got to make as quarterback. And you could show, obviously Love has had bad throws too, but like that's the issue is the footwork and like it almost does remind me of Russ in a way. It's like how uncomfortable he looks in the pocket sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants to run out of the pocket sometimes before and he doesn't stay in the pocket and he makes throws harder for himself than it should. And I'm not a film expert. Like I couldn't point these things out myself, obviously.
Right.
But
I agree. You're not.
That's where the accuracy comes into place, and it's. I think it's fixable. That's where it's encouraging. It's like I think you can look at it and be like, I think a good coach can fix that. A good quarterback can fix that. But at the same time, this is his third year starting, man. Like,
right.
You're expecting like that's what those are like rookie issues still.
Right.
And like obviously, like I don't throw the football and I don't have perfect footwork, but that's the issue I have seen with Fields, and that's why I think his accuracy is very like I always compare him to like Cam Newton, but I think Cam Newton had like maybe a teeny bit more of a cannon of an arm. Fields has a great arm though, and but it's the accuracy that's always going to get it to me. Cam, I was looking at Cam's,
I think he's currently 2% less accuracy or completion percentage than Jordan Love on career for both of them. And Fields really struggled with that early in his career. And I think the fact that he's brought it up to 60% is saying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not, average in the league for starting quarterbacks. But I think this is just to seed that I know what Jordan Love did this year. Like, I agree. He's awesome. He's done amazing things. We're talking about moving forward. Don't clip that. We're talking about moving forward. Who has the better opportunity to succeed in the North in the NFL to do well in playoffs? I think the building around Fields in Chicago, if that occurs, we're talking about if the hypothetical that if this occurs, I think Fields is in a better situation for himself than Love, who's probably going to stick around, get like maybe 2 or 3 more wins every year, just depending on the year, depending on injuries, depending on who's available. I think Fields has that Lamar Jackson-esque, opportunity to play if he's healthy 17 games. You just saw the numbers of what he can do in 17 games. Like that's MVP numbers we're talking about. With changing games, changing the projection of games, not the touchdowns pieces, but that's coming. Those pieces are coming.
That's a big part of the MVP discussion.
We're rushing, we're a rushing first offense.
I think MVP, like that's such a. I don't even want to talk about MVP because
that's what we're debating.
It becomes just like a best quarterback. Yeah, it becomes like a best quarterback in popularity contest though. It's like It's like the best QB on the best team. That's what it's become, and I don't really like that.
Well, it's a debate. I'm forced to say certain things in this debate to sensationalize the debate too. But, all right. What's this comment?
I think that's all we had. That's all we had. So they drafted him 3 years ago. Haven't built around him yet. We're waiting for next year now. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a cycle that I.
Oh, they have built around him. They haven't gotten to the. We're talking about a team that had one of the worst cap situations, had the worst offensive line, and the wide receiver one is Darnell Mooney. That's the team that was last year. That's the team that we built around. We haven't built around it. We had to get rid of our GM. We had to restart. We were starting from scratch last year. So Justin Fields' first year was nothing. His second year.
Well, I try to stay away from the media, definitely.
I try to stay away from the media too. But we're talking about a team that this year is the step 1. Next year, step 2.
See, that's what I'm thinking. Like that's where you are where you thought you were last year, though. And
Bears are who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. I used that in one of Tom's videos.
No, we are. I mean, we did progress last year.
No, you did. Like that's the thing. It's. I'm just saying the parallels from last year. If you look at the beginning of the season to the end of the season, beginning of the season last year looked like poo-poo. Everything looked bad. Fields looked bad. Fields gets better. This year, everything looks bad. Everything looks bad. Everything looks bad. Fields gets better. Defense gets better. You're winning games. There is a difference, but the parallels are there. And I'm not even trying to be like condescending. I'm just saying like you have to be a little nervous that the cycle doesn't start that way again next year.
Cycle starts if we get rid of Fields. The cycle starts over again.
But you still have DJ Moore. You still have like you are more.
We had Allen Robinson with Justin.
DJ Moore is better than Allen Robinson, though. I'll give you that.
A prime Allen Robinson is about the same as DJ Moore. I would. You think so?
I guess I'd have to.
I would say they're about the same in their prime. But DJ Moore is a better window. Has had a better window. I think. Maybe I don't know. I'd have to go back.
He's only like 25 years old. You have like at least 5 more.
Exactly.
Years
I agree. I agree with that. I think. All right. Well, let's just go to our next thing because I'm done arguing with the comments with Johnny.
Can we just agree that Jordan Love's better? Yes. Okay. Cool. Shake on it. All right. Let's go.
Get the hell out of here. All right. Let's talk about our. So we're wrapping up the year.
It's our first show without a Thursday night football game.
We don't have a Thursday night football game, so we might go a little bit later tonight. I think taking a shot with the first overall pick is better than stagnating.
That's the argument because I think, God, when was the last quarterback that win? The last team to win a Super Bowl without like a rookie on a quarterback on a rookie contract. I think it's been a few years.
Well,
technically Mahomes, that's Mahomes. He's on the exception.
Yeah. And by the way, Trevor Lawrence, do you want to talk about quarterbacks that are ranked so highly going into a year and seeing what they do? Like Trevor Lawrence, one of the best quarterbacks in NCAA history, comes into play in professional football, and he's putting up Fields numbers.
I think that's more of a coaching issue, honestly, than on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I'd have to look and see. I just
can you play that clip real quick?
I'm not a Trevor Lawrence defender. It just seems like he's playing hurt. Like he's has like 6 different injuries right now. Obviously, they're not doing great. I'm trying to find the clip.
Well, I try to stay away from the media. Definitely, I feel like everybody has an opinion. It's like like buttholes. Everybody has one. But
that was awesome.
Well, that was awesome.
That was awesome. I miss Big Mike.
Yeah. So let's just jump right. We can come back to this conversation. We really want to, but we need to move forward. But Ron T, I agree.
You had a good lineup. Look at you. I'll give you some credit for that. Your fantasy picks last week. If you listen to Bryan, did you win your championship? Did you?
Yeah. If you would have listened to me, these are people that are picked up in less than 50%. Some of them like 15 to 20% in leagues. Jason Stidham. Who would have thought to start him? I did.
You did.
And I won my
game
game
against Jaron Hall. 8 points. I straight up picked him just
hilarious.
to jinx him. Just because I was very nervous about Joe Barry's defense.
I put Kareem Hunt as a good pick. Anytime you're getting double digits in your score, I think that's good. But it could have been borderline, but he did get a touchdown. He really, in the yardage perspective, he didn't do great. Demarcus Robinson, obviously, that's a good wide receiver game. He had 5 or 6 receptions for 50, 60 yards, or I don't really remember. Juwan Johnson was my shining moment of glory, 19 points. This is a half-point PPR scoring, by the way. And then you look at Johnny, who picked the Seahawks defense.
That was poo-poo. They almost ruined my own game for me. They had 1 point. Yeah, they almost had negative too.
Yeah. And by the way, Rashee Rice, Khalil Herbert, I feel like you need to have a discussion.
They still went over their projections, right? That still counts. You could have put them out of blue. I didn't. You're the one that put a green on them. So.
Oh, no. Not that they didn't. I'm saying, should we be allowing a Rashee Rice pick for a sleeper? Rashee Rice pick for a sleeper pick?
It's not a sleeper pick. Like, you had Demarcus Robinson. He's like the most
popular. Go back to the title. Does it say fantasy sleepers?
Dude, are we going to argue about this still? We're 3 years into the show, and we still haven't decided what a sleeper pick is. It's the championship round. I probably even said, like,
okay, well, it really doesn't matter because let's go to the next slide.
You did good, okay? You did better than me. Are you happy?
Look at the year. Look at the year we had.
I don't care. Happy? Are you happy?
I'm very happy. So
23. Congrats. You would have been, no, that's actually impressive. If you would have bet like a unit, like a betting unit for like the overs on fantasy scores, you'd be up 23 units. That's crazy.
I'm Ron. Idea for some off-season content. Get on the same page.
He calls me 10 minutes before the show. Like, are we still doing the show? Like, yeah.
So if you're looking at the total count, this is how we're scoring. If somebody did bad, which we have a whole scoring system that's in my head that we've agreed upon. If somebody did bad, it's negative times 2 points to your total. So you can see Johnny had 13 of those. I had 10.5 of those because we kind of meet in the middle somewhere. And is like they did all right, but it's not. We wouldn't consider it a good performance. Good is obviously you did good. Wow is whoa, like you definitely exceeded expectations, maybe doubling what you were projected. You can see, Johnny did good in that category, but everything else kind of pushed him down the.
See, that's what I'm going for. I'm going for the explosive plays. That's what I'm.
Well, it worked out for you this year, except it didn't. I beat you by 19.5 points.
I didn't. Was it Khalil? Like, I think Khalil Herbert and Rashee Rice were both on our waiver wires at one point in the league. So you know what?
Well, in week 17. In week 17, Rashee Rice is
anyone who in the I was going for higher standards because anyone who was in a championship game probably didn't need a waiver wire pick. Okay, Bryan?
Well, I'll tell you, nobody's dropping Rashee Rice.
Bryan did.
Did he? I don't really remember.
That's where I got it from.
Anyways, okay, whatever. We do need to set some ground rules. I'm glad you said something.
We're gonna have a new system next year. We're gonna just draft teams and we're gonna face each other. That's what. But
I think what this shows though is that we're above average in picking sleeper picks.
Above average. I'll go with above average. Sure.
Johnny is slightly above average. I'm really above average. I'm good. Johnny.
You know what? There's so many times you stole my pick though, and like.
What do you mean?
I was going to pick someone, and you pick them because you get them in before me because you're on company time doing the show.
What company is Grassi and Perna have you clocked in?
I do my work first. That's what I do. I do my work until like 5 o'clock.
What do you think I'm doing? Do you think I'm putting off these? I'm not going to tell you what I do for a living. I work at a college. That's all I'm going to say. But
you should tell Fields to go back to college. Maybe that'll help his touchdown turnover ratio.
I would love to have him take night classes with LaFleur. But anyways, So
you realize that like halfway through the season, like all Packers when LaFleur like booted out. Like a lot of people still aren't happy with LaFleur because he's keeping Joe Barry around. Like
right, that was. Joe Barry is so ass.
I think no, that's the thing. Like I wanted to make this point about Love, and I'm going to go ahead and make it. If you look at our like, you tried to make it yourself, like the first 7 versus the last whatever. The improvement through the season is what's so impressive to me, and that's what it makes me think it's more than just coaching. And like, yeah, the coaching and the play calling wasn't great the first half of the season. That's why we scored like 6 freaking first half points in like 6 games or whatever the stupid stat was. But like, man, to be able to like get on the same page with such a young squad and make chemistry like the receivers is it's very impressive. And to rebound like that and to not give up, and the emotional maturity, the maturity in his voice when he's talking to reporters, and it just seems like a franchise legit Pro Bowl QB.
In some players, this is why I'm very jealous of the wide receiver core in Green Bay. Some players are just stuck in their ways, and they're veterans, considered veterans now, like Equimania St. Brown, Velus Jones. You know, they're Mooney especially. These guys are veterans, and they're stuck in their ways, and they don't know how to create separation. They don't know how to read what's going on and to set up opportunities for Fields when they're in a system where the wide receiver opportunities are few and far between, and that's why DJ Moore gets all the opportunities. So I think it speaks. Winter said it speaks volumes to Love's character. I think it speaks volumes to the Green Bay Packers coaching staff that they're willing to take the time and coach these guys up to teach them, hey, if nothing's popping up and you see Jordan getting out of the pocket, you need to make some moves to create opportunities for him. You know, if you're doing a post route and you see that he's, struggling, turn back around, cut, get loose from your guy. These are the coaching things that are probably being told the Bears wide receivers too, and they're too old. They're too they've been in the league for long enough to where it's like they don't care. And it just shows with their PFF ratings. It shows with their, the horrible Cleveland Browns game where drop passes were the reason why we lost that game. We had 2 touchdowns reversed because of dropped passes. Reversed as in they would have been a touchdown if they would have caught the pass. Anyways, let's go
watching,
go
I was gonna say watching the film from the Falcons game, just like last night when I was going through stuff from the QB school. Like there were instances of receivers doing that though, and that was like I guess what would be encouraging for you.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it was like Tyler Scott, the other guy, the new guy we just got.
I saw a play that Tunyon made that was a really good play actually.
Oh yeah,
probably the only good play that Tunyon made. But he saw the zone and like he went out like he kind of like stopped exactly where he needed to stop and Fields got to him. So like that's what the chemistry that you're looking for. And I don't have the player exactly when it was, but it was like this cut over the middle of the field and there's he like the Tunyon found the zone.
It was like in the red zone.
Yeah. It was like
yeah.
Right by the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough to be encouraged about, but I think there's enough to debate. I think it's still a legit question if you want to just keep Fields or take the most talented guy available at number 1, because this opportunity only happens once every. I mean, when was the last time before last year you guys had the number 1 pick, right? So
right. Sorry, I was looking at a message that Ron sent me. Good looking out, Ron. Yeah. So what else do we got?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Sync.
Yeah, that was a nice comment.
Yeah, it doesn't have to I wanted to have moments where we could square off and debate, but also moments where
we were yelling. I mean, I was yelling more than you.
Try to give you a show, but no, I think this is it is a debate. I mean, Glove is playing better than Fields right now, I would say, but I think it's not.
Son of a bitch,
end of the discussion. The discussion isn't over. These are still very young quarterbacks. We don't know. It's a year-to-year league when we've seen people
Fields
fall
is a
off.
younger quarterback, by the way.
He is. They're friends, by the way. Is it weird that our quarterbacks are friends?
It is very weird. I don't know how
they hang out in the offseason. They hung out a couple times this offseason. I know that. Oh yeah. Yeah, I wanted to pull this up too because I wanted to. I'm not going to download it. I'm just going to. The fuel. Fuel feed the fire. Hold on.
Oh, I hated But I hate when I don't like that Justin Fields said that stuff.
It's going to
about
backfire.
If you remember Chris Bryant on the Cubs, he said St. Louis is boring. This is the same energy, by the way.
It's not much. Their home field. I know their fans gonna be loud because there's not much to do in Green Bay except watch football. But it's gonna be a great environment for us to play in, and hopefully we have a great game and get the dub on Sunday. So,
which I agree.
That's what makes Green Bay great, though.
But I
there's
know.
a lot. There's a lot to do in Chicago.
Slide. He meant it as a slide to Green Bay. I think it's like I'm jealous of that. I wish I lived in a town that was like had an NFL team and that was basically it. Like,
no, yeah,
that'd be pretty awesome.
It's a magical place. It really is. No, I just love all the reports. They're like, yeah, there's a lot to do in Chicago, but good football. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens on Sunday. We'll see what happens. Any bold predictions, bud?
Yeah. Did you not want to do the rest of the
no, we can. I was just trying to stay on finish the rest of
Oh yeah, sorry. I was
just asking about the Bears game.
I mean, the Bears game, I think
we're all over the place again.
I think it'll be close is all I'm gonna say. I want the Bears to win, clearly. I think it'll be close. I don't know who's gonna win.
I don't know either. That's the great thing about sports.
So
if I did, I'd make a ton of money and I wouldn't even have to edit videos.
So here were some of the I'm just going to change topics. So here were some of the highlights, and I call them the MVPs, the most valuable picks of this year. And this was, you'll see a lot of times it'll be like, oh, of course Ramondre Stevenson did good. You have to know the context of why we're picking them. Sometimes it was before like they were doing good, or like let's look at Johnny's. He has Ramondre Stevenson he scores 70 points after he was dropped by most people in the league.
I told you to stick with him, and then I traded him after that. I think I traded him.
He had single digit games for 3 weeks in a row, and Johnny said start him next week, and we're like, what are you talking about? Boom, puts up 17 points. Then he has Dante Foreman, who this was after he had done like 23 points 1 week, and he was still the starter while Khalil Herbert was injured. Mm-hmm. And he had like two single digit games. And Johnny was like, you know what? Let's go back to him. Let's make him the pick of the week. And I was like, okay. Start Dante Foreman. He puts up 19.2 points with 80 yards rushing and a touchdown. Johnny's doing good with this. He's doing good with the running backs. Then he goes to Josh Palmer at the end of the season. This was when he was injured for like several weeks. And this was when Easton Stick was in because Mr. Herbert was injured. He says, go start Josh Palmer. I don't care if you just get off injury. I don't care if they're, targeting these guys. Start Josh Palmer. He puts up 23.3 points, a season high in our fantasy league.
That was on one play too. It was like a 90-yard touchdown or something stupid like that.
Which, so what? It worked out.
I freaked out. I think that cashed my parlay too.
And let's look at mine. I have Nico Collins. You did
great. I just want to say thank you. You made me feel very good about myself. I appreciate your interview.
Well, let's look at the better option here. Bryan's side.
That's pretty crazy. You called the Nico. Yeah, I remember that. I remember messaging you after that. I was like, wow.
Which I drafted Nico Collins later on in the draft. Not thinking I thought he'd just be like a wide receiver 3 for me.
I think I took him in one of my best ball drafts. Yeah, I should have. I liked him. I just thought he was going a little bit too high.
Mm-hmm. But his first game was awesome. Then he had 2 not so great games. But his fourth game puts up 40.3 points in our league. I think that was the game he just had like 2 really like 40-yard plus touchdowns, really, really long touchdowns. And then week 11, this is the one that I'm like, people are going to be like, why'd you? I mean, of course, Brock Purdy. But this was week 11 he hadn't had any 30-plus point starts yet. And he was also sort of in that phase of like, is he a starting quarterback? Like, you would probably start Jalen Hurts. You'd probably start, I'm trying to think of a different, like Patrick Mahomes. You'd probably start Patrick Mahomes over him. Probably, you would arguably start Trevor Lawrence over him at this point in the year. He's still putting up like, it'd be like 18 to 25 points every week. Week 11, he puts up 35 points, which is his first 30-plus point performance. And then after that, he's just been solid, except for when they faced the Ravens recently. And he was owned by less than 50% of Yahoo leagues at that point.
So there's a this reminds me of that in this 49ers stadium at Levi Stadium, there's a whole like Yahoo, I think it's sponsored by Yahoo, but it's like a fantasy football lounge. And so it has like a bunch of like this day, like historic fantasy performances and has like their fantasy
Really
like that. Yeah. I thought of you when we were there.
That is like my dream place.
It was really cool. Yeah. And that's where I had a picture of me on the throne. There was like a fantasy.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah. That's really good.
And then I have Zeke. This was his first game as the lead back after Stevenson got injured. And they were facing the Steelers on the road. He puts up 24.5 points. That was my last.
That's a good pick.
One. But yeah,
good pick.
Good year all around. We did above average. I think the fact if you were getting above 0, that means that you had good picks. Like, because essentially you're picking people that are on the waivers or owned by less than 50% of the league. So if you're just randomly deciding, like, I'm going to go with Jawan Johnson this week, which is what I did last week with my tight end, over, like Jawan Johnson was owned by like 17% of the leagues. And it's like a pick like that. Or Isaiah Likely 2 weeks after Mark Andrews got injured, he went off. Like, I think, and you picked him 1 week. So, just nice to reminisce and look back on our year.
Yeah. We didn't use this knowledge in our home league as we both finished under 500. But hey,
well, we're not going to start these sleepers. We're not going to start these sleepers over our brilliant starters like Saquon Barkley.
I want to go back and see how my season would have been if I took Tyreek Hill over Austin Eckler, because that would have been something. I think I would have been a lot different. I'd be happier now. It'd be a different life.
And to sort of wrap it up in a nice little bow, we have one last section here.
We do have another section. I forgot. I thought we were offline. Names we like for 2023, the best of.
So we got.
Choose you.
Why don't you start off and we'll go back and forth.
I choose you, Pikachu. Let us know in the comments which one's your favorite, y'all.
Yeah. Taylor Swift returned. This is when Jonathan Taylor returned. Taylor Swift.
And that was like right when she started dating Kelsey. That was very clever of you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get all of these? Mike Kittle, Tony, that was yours actually.
That was mine. Taylor Swift return was mine. I choose you, Pikachu is mine, but it's kind of basic. I think other people probably would have thought of it too.
Patrick Mac Jones, that's a good one. I saw that on Twitter.
I got that from Twitter.
Okay.
And then
Tua Infinity Bijan.
That was from Reddit.
Reddit's a good one.
I came up with the I'm sorry, Smith Jackson.
Ooh,
Jackson Smith.
For real. Sus Edwards. I made that one, didn't I?
Yeah, and that was, yeah. And then
I called Gus Edwards one night, and he had like 2 touchdowns, I think. And didn't get on my Hall of Fame.
And then
Waco Flacco Flynn. That's a good one. I saw like the NFL, like the official NFL YouTube or something was posting that caption. I was like, wow, stealing our show. They must be watching.
Yes, I'm sorry, Smith Jackson. Really that was one that I was that was a week where I just couldn't think of anyone, and I was trying to go on like a Facebook group to get people to send me them, and that was the only one I could think of that week, and it ended up being a pretty good one. But.
It's a good one. I like it. We might have to use it for next year.
Yeah.
But is that it, Brian?
That's all I had.
That's all we got, folks. Any bold predictions for Bears Packers? My bold prediction is Brian cries.
I usually don't. I don't get too.
Honestly, it's going to be either because if you win, you'll probably cry tears of joy.
That's true. I could just be crying. No matter.
I might cry regardless too, because if I lose, if we lose, the Packers lose. I might not be on the show for about 6 months, guys. So.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking there's going to be. I think Khalil Herbert's going to have another solid rushing game. I think he's going to rush for over 100 yards again. I'm thinking it's going to be
because Khalil Herbert and Aaron Jones both coming off back-to-back 100-yard games. I think those are the 2 X factors of this game. Actually, it's not even Love and Fields. It's going to be how our running games. I mean, it's going to be January football at Lambeau Field. I don't know. The weather might be a little cold and windy.
I'm predicting a Cole Kmet and Khalil Herbert touchdown. Those are the only 2 touchdowns I think.
Put your money where your mouth is, bud.
Yeah, maybe. No. And I'm predicting that the run game is going to be good, but not great because the Bears have the best rushing defense in the NFL for the Packers. I think AJ Dillon. It had some. AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones had some. What's the word I'm thinking of? They had some good luck with rushing against us in the beginning of the year, but we also didn't have
Good history.
Sweat or our linebackers weren't doing anything. I think your passing game is going to be on point as usual, and I think our rushing game is going to be.
Jalen Johnson's still hurt. I saw that he's.
I haven't checked in on that. I was wondering if he's going to
practice.
start or not, but he was considered questionable throughout the whole game. He wasn't ever ruled out, so I think that's a sign of he might be good to go because it wasn't that severe even in the game. But also, I don't know. But I think if everybody's healthy on both teams and Jair Alexander's back, I think it's going to be a good, fun game. It's like legitimately like I wish this was like the Sunday Night Football game.
I think it will be a high-scoring game. I would take the over on this one. I don't know what it's at, but I would take the over. So I think it could be like we could both put up 20, 30 points, I think, definitely. So, especially with Joe Barry defense, and then I think that Packers at home, we'll see. We'll see. We still have the charm. A must-win game, or if you guys can crush our souls.
It's going to be the Lions game over. Yep.
But at least this isn't Aaron Rodgers' last career game at Lambeau Field. Career game. That was bad. All right, folks. We appreciate you watching. Thank you, Jetto. We appreciate you, Brandon and Waterboard. Oh, you don't have to apologize. You're fine. Go Bears, go. Yuck. All right, y'all. No, we appreciate every single one of y'all. We thank y'all for watching. Have a wonderful New Year. I'm Johnny Barks.
This is Bryan.
And you have been led on
Johnny
a journey
Barks
on the line to the Johnny Barks Show. We are ending the show now. We haven't had a slogan yet.